Hi, today we're going to talk about the demonstrative pronouns in German, also known as the Demonstrativpronomen or Fürwörter. Before we get into the grammar and everything, let's first of all talk about what are the demonstrative pronouns. When you want to emphasize something in German by using a pronoun, you can use demonstrative pronouns. You use them in a similar fashion as the other pronouns, but in these sentences, the pronoun itself will be emphasized. It's like drawing attention to a particular object without actually saying that object, using a pronoun instead. The demonstrative pronouns are very similar to the der words, so, for comparison purposes, I've highlighted the ones that are different. The nominative and accusative cases are exactly the same as they are for the der words. They are der, die, das, die for the nominative case, and den, die, das, die for the accusative. In the dative case, the only thing that changes is that instead of den for the plural, we now have denen. The der words would be dem, der, dem, den. The dative, however, for the demonstrative pronouns would be dem, der, dem, denen. This one's easy to remember because the dative plural also takes an n on the end of the noun, so if you think about it, there's already an extra n in the dative plural for the der words. So when you use the pronoun, you would be taking that n and attaching it to the pronoun, changing it to denen. The der words in the genitive are completely different than the demonstrative pronouns in the genitive. The der words were des, der, des, der. The demonstrative pronouns, however, are dessen, deren, dessen, deren. Not only are they the most complicated of the demonstrative pronouns, but the genitive is really complicated to use as a demonstrative pronoun. I'll show you some examples here in a minute. The best way to understand this grammar is to try it out in different sentences. The first sentence we're going to try out here has nothing but masculine nouns for consistency purposes. The original sentence was Der Mann gibt dem Jungen den Hund des Verkäufers. Der Mann is the subject of this sentence. He's the one giving the dog. What is he giving is the direct object, and that's den Hund. That takes the accusative case. That's why it's den Hund instead of der. Des Verkäufers is the genitive case because the Verkäufer, or the salesperson, is the one that owns the dog. Dem Jungen is the one receiving the dog and therefore is the indirect object and therefore in the dative case, dem Jungen. Don't forget that Junge is a little bit weird in that it takes an in for all of the cases except for the nominative case. If we were to take der Mann and replace him with a pronoun, normally we would use er. In this case, using the demonstrative pronoun, we use der. So the sentence becomes, Der gibt dem Jungen den Hund des Verkäufers. This puts a little bit more emphasis on the man. It's as if we were standing in a crowded area and we're trying to figure out exactly which man is giving the boy a dog. In this case, we would be pointing at someone and say, Der gibt dem Jungen den Hund des Verkäufers. If you wanted to take out the indirect object in the sentence, you would take out dem Jungen and insert dem. So the sentence would become, Der Mann gibt dem den Hund des Verkäufers. In this case, we're putting emphasis on dem Jungen without actually putting emphasis on it by putting it at the beginning of the sentence. While we didn't put dem at the beginning of this sentence like we normally would emphasize something, we can do it, so the sentence could be Dem gibt der Mann den Hund des Verkäufers. In fact, that's probably going to be more popular. If you were to take out the direct object in this sentence, something weird happens, and that is that the word order changes ever so slightly, making the direct object come before the indirect object. This happens with the other pronouns as well. Der Mann gibt den des Verkäufers dem Jungen. This is probably never actually going to come up in a conversation, but des Verkäufers would probably be removed. They would probably say it in a different format to avoid that awkward conversation or that awkward word order. Der Mann gibt den dem Jungen would probably be more popular. Even more popular than that, however, would be to start the sentence with den, so the sentence would become Den gibt der Mann dem Jungen. Again, you would take out des Verkäufers because it just makes things complicated. As I said before, using the genitive case with these demonstrative pronouns is kind of complicated. In order to do this, we're going to use a clause that starts with a demonstrative pronoun that goes back and describes the noun that preceded it. So in this sentence we have Der Verkäufer, dessen Hund kauft, stirbt, which is the salesperson whose dog he bought or he is buying dies. Dessen Hund is his dog, except instead of saying his dog, we're referring back to der Verkäufer. In this sentence, dessen is actually the salesperson as a possessive. Here's another example using only feminine nouns. This is the same sentence, except it's slightly different because we're using feminine nouns. Die Frau gibt der Katze die Schöne der Box. The woman gives the cat the catnip of the box. The woman is the subject of the sentence because she is the one giving the catnip. The catnip is the direct object because it's what's being given. Die Katze, or the cat, is the indirect object because it's the one receiving die Schöne, which is the catnip. Der Box is the genitive form of die Box, which is a box. In this sentence, it's the box that contains the catnip. If we were to take out the subject, die Frau, and insert a demonstrative pronoun, the sentence would become Die gibt der Katze die Schöne der Box, which is like saying that one, or her over there, gives the cat the catnip from the box. Similar to what we saw earlier with the masculine nouns, if we take out the indirect object, we have to just put in der instead of der Katze. So the sentence becomes Die Frau gibt der die Schöne der Box, which is the woman gives that one, or the cat over there, die Schöne, which is the catnip, of the box. If you wanted to take out the direct object, the sentence gets a little complicated, and more than likely no one would actually say it this way, but the sentence would become Die Frau gibt die der Box der Katze. That sentence says the woman gives the cat that particular catnip of the box, or a specific catnip, so we're emphasizing that catnip as opposed to a different catnip, using the demonstrative pronoun die in the accusative case for die Schöne. Again, the genitive is still a little bit complicated when using the demonstrative pronouns. In the feminine form that we were using, we would say Die Schöne, deren Box die Katze hat, ist groß. The catnip, whose box the cat has, is large. So in this case, deren is a possessive referring back to die Schöne, which is the catnip. So it's like saying the catnip's box that the cat has is large. Now for a neuter example. The word Tag, however, is not neuter in this example. I just couldn't come up with enough neuter nouns in order for this to work. Das Kind gibt dem Mädchen das Geschenk des Tages. The child gives the girl the gift of the day. If you were to take out the subject in the sentence, you would take out das Kind, as it's the one giving the gift. So das gibt dem Mädchen das Geschenk des Tages. So we're referring back to the child, as in that particular child. It's as if someone had just asked us, who gave that girl the gift? And we were answering with, Das gibt dem Mädchen das Geschenk. Following the same pattern that we had before, if you take out the indirect object, you replace dem Mädchen with dem. So the sentence becomes, Das Kind gibt dem das Geschenk des Tages. The child gives that one, or that girl over there, the gift of the day. If you wanted to take out the direct object, you would have to take out das Geschenk and replace it with just das. Again, you would have to change the word order slightly so that this actually still makes sense. Das Kind gibt das des Tages dem Mädchen. Normally, you're going to take out des Tages again because that just makes things complicated. In order to use the genitive one again, we're going to have a clause. Der Tag, dessen Geschenk das Kind gibt, ist Montag. In this sentence, we say the day is Monday. The clause in the middle says whose gift the child gives, so the whole sentence reads as the day, whose gift the child gives, is Monday. And now for the plural form of the same sentence, we could say Die Kinder geben den Schülern die Geschenke der Geburtstage. All of these nouns are plural, so they follow the plural pattern. Die Kinder are the children, geben is to give, den Schülern are the students, die Geschenke are the gifts, der Geburtstage are the birthdays. In this sentence, the children are giving the students the gifts of the birthdays. If you wanted to take out the subject of this sentence, you would take out die Kinder and replace it with die. Die geben den Schülern die Geschenke der Geburtstage. It's as if someone asked us who gave the students the gifts, and we were answering, they did. If we were to take out the indirect object, den Kindern, we would replace it with denen, so the sentence would become, Die Kinder geben denen die Geschenke der Geburtstage. The children give them the gifts of the birthday. In this case, we are emphasizing the students. It's as if someone asked us, whom did they give the gifts? And we wanted to say, denen. If you wanted to take out the direct object in the sentence, you have to change the word order around again. Die Kinder geben die der Geburtstage den Kindern. In this sentence, die refers back to the gifts. Again, normally people would take out der Geburtstage as well. Again, if you want to take out the genitive part of that sentence, you're going to have to rephrase things a little bit. The sentence that I've written is Die Geburtstage, deren Geschenke die Kinder bekommen, haben sie am Donnerstag. If you take out the center clause, it's still a perfectly good sentence saying Die Geburtstage haben sie am Donnerstag. They have the birthdays on Thursday. The clause in the middle says whose gifts the children receive. So we're talking about the gifts of the birthdays. So in this case we say Die Geburtstag, deren Geschenke die Kinder bekommen, the birthday whose gifts the children receive, haben sie am Donnerstag, have they on Thursday. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this helpful, and if you have any questions, just write them in the comments below. Don't forget to check out the rest of my channel and subscribe.